Hello, this is Heather Marchant. I'm going to be going over a pro forma with you. At the top here, you'll see the address of the property. If there is no address or complete address there, it's because we're awaiting one from the seller. That often happens with new construction. Here you'll see a photo of the property or a rendering if it is new construction. And here you'll see the assumptions on the loan terms of what the loan terms will be. This is the purchase price that is pre-negotiated with the seller. So we will move all of the properties they send us. In return, they give us best pricing and as well as offer some incentives occasionally. So here the down payment is calculated at 20% down, which is what those assumptions show here, and 80% loan to value. So here is the loan amount, and a interest rate of 5.25% on this one. We update our pro formas with most recent interest rates, but that doesn't mean that they aren't subject to change. Here is the estimated mortgage payment. Estimated taxes on new construction, we do contact the local county and get an idea of what taxes will be once the property is assessed. Any HOA fees, if there is a dollar amount here, you know there is an established HOA. The other is essentially for regular expenses like lawn mowing or things that may be associated with this property. Most of the time this will say 0. Property management fee, this is the negotiated rate with the current property manager in this location. And the insurance, this is an estimate on monthly insurance cost. So here you'll see your total expenses. Here is the low and high range on the rent. So this means that the property is not currently rented when we submitted all this information for a pro forma. So if the numbers here are the same, the property is rented. So the low and the high will match. So here's the cash flow at the low range and the cash flow at the high range. And these numbers below this on the pro forma are all the high range of the pro forma, just for your reference. So these are calculations of annualized return. So these are annualized numbers. So the cash, this is the cash flow here times 12. And this formula is this number divided by the down payment. And the rest of these numbers are all the same. They are all divided by the down payment. Principal reduction is the tenant paying down your principal on the loan. So that's a return. It's small, but hey, it's there every year. Then your tax reduction, this is at 25% tax bracket, the depreciation write-off on your taxes. Here is 5% appreciation on the property. It is calculated based on a return of your down payment. So where you only put 20% down, that's why it shows a 25% return. Just keep that in mind. That usually throws people off. Your debt coverage ratio, this is your rent versus your mortgage. And the annual gross rent multiplier is your gross rent minus gross expenses, not including your mortgage payment, and then divided by your annualized mortgage payment. So those are all annualized numbers, hence the word annual there. Capitalization rate is the cash flow versus the purchase price. So those are just different calculations to determine the return on the property. I have some clients that are just looking at appreciation, just looking at capitalization, their cap rate, just looking at cash ROI. So we try to give you as many different ways to analyze the investment as possible. Here are the assumptions going across here in this blue bar that we use below here. So we're saying we estimate a 5% appreciation rate, 4% vacancy, 3% income growth, that is the raising of rent every year. Closing cost, this is for when you go to sell the property, what it will cost to have usually closing fees and your agent fees, and then maintenance of 5%. Up here, this one's pretty self-explanatory. We have your square footage here, annualized taxes, which is just an annual number versus these taxes up here, and then the year it is built. And then down here, we're getting into projections over 30 years. So this is where returns start to look so good that it's hard to believe. So, because we're looking at 5% appreciation year over year for 30 years as an example, you know, so that you have crazy amounts of appreciation at the end of the 30 years and looking at what the property will be valued at in 30 years. So these are all long-term projections that you can look through for expenses going up over time, and your mortgage principal getting paid down. So this is a way to look at it over a long period. So that is our pro forma.